Alright, so I saw Iron Lung. This was a couple months ago. Pretty good movie. I saw it mainly because Markiplier was in it. It was the Markiplier movie. But the premise also seemed interesting. Markiplier was going to be submerged in an ocean of blood in a rickety submarine, which is kind of what I was hoping would happen to him eventually, one way or another. So, hey, admission for one, please. And boy howdy, is there an ocean of blood. There's a lot of blood in this movie. It's very gross. It's not like blood from a person, so I guess it's a bit more, I don't know, stomachable than if there was just a guy like bleeding out everywhere. It's like blood, but not really blood. It's red, it's gooey, it's a great set piece. But I did watch the film. I was there. I saw the whole thing, sat through the entire movie, didn't even get up to pee even once. My apologies to the maintenance staff at the TLC Chinese Theater. But I still don't quite understand why there was a giant ocean of blood, or why Markiplier was sent down into it. I understand that, without spoiling too much, he did a bad thing, allegedly, and so they said, get in the punishment submarine, get in there, get in there! I do think that as the mystery kind of unravels, like they introduce even more bits of mystery, even more elements that make you think, what's that? Ooh, a little crumb of mystery? Oh, that's so interesting. What's over here? Ooh, a little curious little detail. What's that all about? These little crumbs of mystery all turn into this giant, like, meatloaf of, like, a meatloaf of mystery. And you're like, ooh, that seems hearty. I bet if I cut into that and take a big bite, there's going to be something on the other end that's really going to be satisfying. And then the movie just kind of ends. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, I feel like there were some, loose ends there. You could have, like, put in a little extra ground beef, a little mince, a little ketchup, barbecue sauce or something in there. There's a lot of flavor, but, what? And I'm sure that if you played the Iron Lung video game, you're going to get a lot more of a satisfying experience if you know the story, the characters, the lore. But I don't know the lore. I felt like it was a bit too esoteric for me to fully understand. I got like the main bits, like, the character level, like, okay, I get sort of their motivations and I get sort of why they're doing what they're doing, but as far as like the world building aspect goes, I was a little bit left behind. But that's okay, honestly. I'd much rather have like an esoteric mystery that leaves a lot of room for that kind of existential dread where you don't exactly know what's going on, because that gives it a really cool vibe too. I love that. I also prefer it to having like a giant exposition dump right in the middle of the movie that's just like, here's why the movie is the way it is. Did you know you're watching a film right now? It's not real life. Let's explain everything to you right now. Like, it's not like at minute 36 Markiplier came out and said, hello everybody, my name's Markiplier and welcome back to part 14 of the complicated rationale behind the strange and unusual punishment I'm receiving from my many crimes. I'm Markiplier. There's blood in my eye. But I also want to thank Markiplier, and I completely respect this man, for finally going and making an independent film that includes a cool fish in it. It's got a fish. Those soy boy, coward Hollywood executives are too scared to feature a fish in their films nowadays. And yet Markiplier comes along and he's like, I think I'll put a fish in my movie. He's the only one brave enough to do it? That's really interesting. Why don't people decide to put fish in their movies anymore? It's interesting. I just think it's interesting is all. I accidentally went into a Tucker Carlson impression there. This is where we are. This is the goal now. Markiplier loves fish. If you were to take a cup of fish and a can of blood, mix it together with about a quart of water, you get yourself a nice stock to start a delicious batch of doodle soup. It's the show about consuming our thoughts before they eat us alive. And how do we do that, you might be asking? Great question. Well, Well, I do that by identifying those thoughts, breaking those thoughts down to their base ingredients, and then stirring them all together in a nice giant pot until we have some delicious art on the other side. My name is Brendan. I am the cook and the curator of the delicious slop on which we sub. And now that we know what our first ingredient is, let's move on to our second ingredient. Ingredient number 2, Mario Maker 2. Wahoo! I am ever loosely committed to this project that I've been doing for a while now of creating an entire super world in Mario Maker 2 based around the Skip Squeak enemy. They are my favorite Mario enemy in the entire world. They're little rats. They jump when you jump. Hell yeah. But of the 5 game styles included in Mario Maker 2, the only one that offers Skip Squeaks as an enemy is the Super Mario 3D World theme. And in that theme, they give Mario approximately 2.8 trillion moves. So to keep the levels at least a little bit challenging, the level designs had to be a lot more technical and acrobatic, which also makes them a lot more kinetic and fun and bouncy and fast and a lot more difficult. But that's good. You gotta have that special spice, so you're not playing a video game, you're playing a bowl of bran flakes. No raisins! However, I realized with a lot of my levels that I'm already presupposing that the player is gonna have like a base knowledge of Mario's moveset, and they're gonna know exactly the mechanics that they need to execute and when exactly I expect them to execute those moves. So that can be a little bit difficult to understand at points, so I had to go back and restructure a lot of my levels, sometimes like gutting the entire thing except for the premise pretty much of like the main idea. Like sometimes there's going to be a conveyor belt level, or there's going to be a level where you have to bounce through the entire thing. Restructuring the entire thing to try to maintain the challenge but also make it a bit more playable, understandable, fun, all that garbage. And part of me wonders if I am making the levels a little bit too easy for the sake of, you know, making things simpler and more streamlined. But yeah, I think I am. But that's probably a good thing. If I make things too difficult and people die a lot in the game, they keep losing lives, there's a very loud bus outside, then Super Mario Maker 2, you die, it's like 10 seconds you have to wait before you can retry the level. This isn't Celeste where you can be like, ooh, here we go again, ooh, here we go again, ooh, here we go again. No, you have to be like, do, fade to black. Now we're back. Rat flies in from out of nowhere, you're dead again. And maybe it's worth the sacrifice of not having a surprise rat attack, just so that the player is feeling like I'm respecting their time a little bit more. You know, that's good. But surprise rat attacks are just so funny. It's all about balance, really. I'm really hoping to make this public at some point and do like a whole launch video about it. I think that'd be really fun. Thing is, I've been working on this project since about 2021, I want to say. So if this channel is any indication, who knows if we'll even follow through on it, you know what I mean? I signed up for the LA Marathon, in which I would eventually get 3:37:33, if you must know. I was training for that for a long time, but my Brooks that I was wearing were getting a little bit worn down. And you know it's not healthy to do training runs, especially super long ones, on worn out shoes. So I figured, hey, you know what? Let's get a new pair of running shoes so I can avoid hurting myself. Wouldn't that be nice? So I got myself a pair of Asics. My first ever pair of running shoes were Asics. So I'm like, hey, for old time's sake, you know, we're doing our first, like, regular actual marathon. Let's get a pair of our first actual shoes, except it's the same company, not the same shoes, but you get what I mean. Let's go. And then it turns out that the pair that I received from the Asics Corporation were haunted by the ghost of a vengeful spirit who had a vendetta against my left leg. Because every time I went for a run in these things... Here, let me get them right now. 1 second. These guys right here, these Asics, they're blue. What a cool color. What was not cool is that it felt like every time I went for a run in one of these things, somebody wearing cinder blocks on their feet decided to slide tackle my left leg. And so I was coming off of every single training run limping, and that sucked. But naturally, I still had the LA Marathon to train for, 3:37:33 in case you forgot. So I decided to, wisely abandon those shoes, and I went back to my old Brooks because that's what I had to use. Except if you're running 12, 15, 17-mile runs on old shoes, not very good for you. I got shin splints. Both legs. It was very, very painful, not just physically, mostly physically, but also emotionally, because running is one of my favorite activities ever, and being forced to stop because if you try to do it, it's going to physically cause you pain. That sucks, especially when you have a goal in mind, like the LA Marathon, 3:37:33. I don't know why you keep wanting me to repeat it. When prepping for a long run requires you to lather up your entire legs in arthritis cream so that each step feels more like a kick in the shins and less like a baseball bat to the shins, joy metamorphosizes into dread pretty quickly. But eventually, I just had to face the fact that to get shin splints to stop, you just have to stop running. So I stopped running, and that was a little scary. Having to stop training for a marathon about a month before the marathon induces copious anxieties within you, and my legs, we're healing, so not running does help you if you have shin splints. About 2 weeks before the race, I was able to get out and train without it hurting too bad. At that point, you're supposed to be winding down your training so you have enough energy and you're not risking injury right before your big race. But I was ramping up because I needed to make sure that my body was ready to take on that challenge. But the day of the marathon came, I was able to run with relatively little pain so that I can make room for new and exciting types of pain later on. I felt like I was going to pee and poop and throw up at the same time for at least 1/3 of the entire thing, and that was not fun. But you know what? I finished it. I'm very proud that I did. I wish I could remember what time I got, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, we've got all 3 of our ingredients, so we're just going to toss those into the pot and let our friend Isolde the Witch stir them around a bit while we get some housekeeping out of the way. First of all, if you are enjoying this video, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, genuinely. This is cool. You and me? Hey, how's it going? Hi. Secondly, if you are enjoying this format, you can expect more from me in the future. Now, these videos do take a decent amount of time to put together between the drawing, making the artwork, writing the script, filming and everything. This is the second time I'm filming this video because the first time just absolutely sucked donkey something. I'm not going to tell you what part of the donkey it sucked, but it did. So it does take some time. However, I have at this point a sizable backlog of artworks and scripts and things for this show. So I can get to those to you guys hopefully as soon as I possibly can. I don't know what hopefully as soon as possible means. If you really like this video in particular, go ahead and drop a like down there. I don't like begging for likes. I really don't like asking for it. I think it's tacky, but it really genuinely does help other people find the video. And if they're like-minded individuals who like creative stuff like this, then, maybe it'll help them to discover and waste precious moments of their life watching it just like you did. Aww. I love you guys. However, if you don't like this video, hey, fair enough. Give it 2 weeks and I probably will also hate it. We're in the same boat. So just navigate right down there to the comments and type, "Thanks for nothing, bozo." And that way I'll know that you disliked the video. That's how I'll figure out how many people disliked the video, because there's literally no other way to tell. Oh, and if you really, really, on the other hand, loved this video and you're just like, "Oh my god, this is the best video I've ever seen," also go down into the comments and type, Thanks for nothing, bozo. Because I don't actually want to know how many people disliked the video. That would really be a huge hit to my self-esteem, and I think this is the best way for me to maintain a level of denial. Alright, it looks like Izolda's just about done stirring our ingredients together, so let's take a look in the pot and see what we've cooked up
today.
Fish wizard. It's a wizard who is also, if you can believe it, part fish. Why is this wizard part fish? Well, this fish wizard used to be a regular old run-of-the-mill wizard whose life's work and life's love mostly involved unraveling the secrets of the deep blue sea. However, an errant cod scale messed up the delicate balance of this arcane incantation that was meant to attune the wizard further, transformed them inadvertently in a very painful way into the form in which they now inhabit. Now, being a fish wizard is a lot more physically and socially taxing than being a regular wizard, so why haven't they changed themselves back yet? To become part fish was very painful. It hurt an awful lot. And to become not part fish is also going to hurt an awful lot. So the wizard just decided to, extend this lonely and somewhat slippery chapter of their life until they feel more ready to handle the pain. Option number 2, a treasure hunter. Sort of an Indiana Jones type, a very smart, charming, suave, athletic, investigating the ruins of long-lost civilizations in search of supernaturally charged artifacts, that sort of thing. But to this adventure in particular, the journey is the true treasure. The challenge of discovering something new is the entire point. However, on one of their many, many larger-than-life expeditions, they came across the ruins of an old civilization, whatever, found another magical artifact, whatever, but this magical artifact did something a little different. It granted extrasensory perception. This would have been incredible for literally anybody else, but the cruel dagger of fate decided to twist the knife into the back of the one person who would deem this gift a curse. Now that they have this extrasensory perception, no matter where they go, no matter what they are hunting, they know exactly what lies before them before they even step inside. No turn is a twist. No step is a surprise. Everything is boring, and it sucks. Option 3, Armand the Blood Clown. Oh, Armand. Every little bit of clownery that you attempt just generates buckets and buckets of blood for no discernible reason. Tumbling, blood. Juggling, blood. Sleight of hand, blood. Balloon animals, just so much blood. And the thing is, Armand is reasonably certain that the blood isn't his, per se. He doesn't really know where it comes from, which he's unsure if that makes it more or less unsettling. Not that it really matters. What really matters is that your job of making children laugh is made exponentially more difficult when every birthday party you attend has a splash zone. Tears. Now that we have our 3 options, let's get your pal and mine, Aaron the Arrow, to help us decide which one we're gonna explore further. Alright, Aaron, are you ready? Aaron, I don't think you're allowed to say that word anymore. 3, 2, 1, go! Ooh, and it's landed on our treasure hunter, and there, the character we're gonna explore further. Let's keep her moving. Get the fish wizard and Armand the Blood Clown out of my sight. I don't want to see him ever again. Get him out of the building. Out of the building. I don't want to see him. Go. No, I'm serious. Go. Get him out. Don't come back. Don't come back. When I decided to expand this treasure hunter character, I decided to put the treasure hunter themselves to the side and take a look at this artifact. What is the true nature of this artifact that causes the treasure hunter to absolutely ruin their entire reason for existing and their happiness and joy and everything. I originally wanted to have it be some sort of artifact that had the stored consciousness of someone or something from the lost city of Atlantis to try to like tie in that ocean fishy element to it, something that when somebody touches it transmits information into their mind, and thus through like their periphery, the information of their ears and eyes and everything. Like, imagine like those Ray-Bans with the AI in them constantly projecting like maps and screens and things like that, different points of interest and locales, except you can't turn it off, and it's very much more annoying, somehow more annoying than AI. We didn't think it was possible, but hey, here we are. And I really decided to lean into the annoying aspect of it more because I didn't honestly feel like exploring the depths of existential dread for my silly YouTube video at the moment. I decided to make it more like an annoying video game tutorial NPC that coddles you and like forces you to do like the exact thing that they want you to do. Like, you can't explore the world. No, we're going here. Arrow this way. We gotta go through this door and learn how to jump. Have you ever learned how to jump? And I also determined that I didn't want it to be Atlantis. I figured I want to do my own thing. There wasn't enough rat representation for my liking, or at least rat-adjacent representation. Instead, this artifact is now an opossum paw, because opossums are basically just rats if they were bigger and sillier. We were all thinking it. I'm just the one who's brave enough to say it. This possum paw is like attached to some kind of jewelry or something like that, and once somebody picks it up or wears it, it summons this spectral spirit of an opossum that came from some long-lost civilization somewhere and is trying to get people to be like, hey, I can talk to you, that's pretty cool, right? Why don't we go this way and see if you can uncover the things that are near and dear to my heart and like my civilization, so that we can be remembered posthumously. Wouldn't that be kind of fun? And it just so happens that years ago I made a YouTube video, I know, hard to believe, but I did do it, that had that Redwall-esque opossum civilization, and there was a throwaway character in there named Todd. So Todd is now the emissary of this long-forgotten land. So my story thus far is: an intrepid archaeologist by the name of d00dle discovers a mummified paw affixed to a bejeweled necklace. Motivated by mystery and curiosity, as always, Miss de00dle inspects it and loops it around her neck for safekeeping, which unknowingly invokes the spirit of a very persistent possum, Todd, who is very proud of his culture and needs the world to remember as much of it as possible, no matter how much you are annoyed by his screeching and scurrying. Here is a preliminary image I made of Geraldine being absolutely pestered by Todd. The many after images of Todd, he's like scurrying around. Here he's tossing out a bunch of information about his homeland, like where to find stuff. I have like speech bubbles here that were originally going to have directions in them, like pictographs or something, because I didn't want to have actual text. I eventually got rid of the speech bubbles because I felt like they kind of cluttered up the image, along with this little pose of Todd with the pen and paper. But I liked this pose, so I could just kind of redrew it in my sketchbook. That's for me. That's for me and you. That's our little secret. Ain't that just precious? Ain't that just so adorable? He's so cute. From a lure perspective, he is connected to the paw. That is his paw, right? It's mummified. His spirit is inside of there. Something to do with the jewelry, incantations of the magic possum people or something like that. I don't know. It's a mystery. But every time Geraldine de00dle decides, I think I'm going to lose this accidentally, it always makes its way back to her somehow. So sort of like a cursed object if it was just cursed to annoy you. That keeps it so that she can not just, get rid of it. That would be a boring story otherwise. Unless it's about like her feeling responsible for the civilization of big silly rats and feeling like guilty for having, to throw this away, but also like wanting to move on with her life, and sort of an interplay between, her personal wants and dreams and desires and the legacy of the opossums and how that's gonna stack up socially with other human beings. I don't know. But as far as the drawing goes, I wasn't a huge fan of the pose that I made Geraldine do here. I think it's a little bit over the top and cartoony of a annoyance depiction. and it makes the frenetic, frantic, scrambly energy of Todd a little bit less so. When I did my final one, I decided I would just give her kind of like frustrated pose. And I also didn't like how skinny and twiggy that I made her in the beginning, and so I made her a little bit shorter, a little stockier. Give her a body type that makes it feel like she can get into a scrap, a little tussle, come out on top, because she's an adventurer type. She's tough, you know? She's gonna punch some Nazis. I don't know what time period this is, but, you know, whatever time period you exist in, punch a Nazi. And I do have some progress pictures. It's not a time lapse. I know you love time lapses. I'm so sorry. I know you love time lapses. You can't get enough of time lapses. You love to see linear time go past you just a little bit faster. But I'm so sorry. You just got to believe me that for like physical drawings, it's just so freaking annoying, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You will be receiving time lapses from me in the future. I promise you. I got you. You can trust me. Today is not that day. I do hope that this final pen and marker image is worth it to you. I really like it. I think it turned out really good. I really love the shape of the characters, the body language. It was really fun to make. Yeah, Geraldine d00dle, famous archaeologist, adventurer, and Todd, the ghostly opossum, who is always attached to his erroneously believed long-suffering bestie. Pen and marker. It's fun. Give it a shot. I recommend it. I still don't know how to end